Hi, this is Al of Resurrections, an Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast, and proud member of the collective, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 235, and you are with one of your High Priest of KHONSHU, Ray. Hello, as always. Joining me now, we have a special 2-for-1 offer. I don't know. We have very special guests here, awesome guys to chat with. So it's double the fun now that they're both on here. I can't wait to hear these guys interact with each other. First we have Justin the Owl. Osgood, Justin, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Ray, and thank you as always, Loonies, for listening.
And of course, Justin is a regular co-host now to Tombz of Evil, so you can always catch Justin there. But we've always had good chats on ITK, and also as well, he's been on the show quite recently. He's a man of a few and many, and all the words in between. A great musician as well. The creator for all the music on the show, frontman of Deleter, Knol, Looney Tunes. Tate, Knol, welcome back.
Thank you. And thank you. Good to see your face and hear Justin's voice.
Yes.
All is well in the world.
All is well. And look, just before I forget, and before I jump into the big thank yous for our sponsors, now, Justin, had you heard the episodes that Knol and I did? There was an impersonation that kind of popped.
Yes.
Yes.
And I know in between then and now, actually, Justin, we did do a recording just between you and myself, and at the end of the recording, you said, "Oh, damn, I forgot to do a Knol impersonation." So I would like to.
I did. I had a perfect one ready too, and it totally slipped my mind. But it's perfect now that we're all together.
Let's hear it.
So, without further ado, fucking nerds.
Well, I think that pretty much.
Perfect.
I think that sums up Knol. There is,
I think you said it about 3 times in that one episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I know one was at least an impersonation of my partner, so we both share the same vernacular when it comes to the fucking nerds. So,
well, Justin,
I love it. It cracked
Justin,
me up, so that's got to be it.
I think you've gone one better. You've actually impersonated Knol and Laura then, so that's a 2-for-1.
Another 2-for-1.
So there you go, Loonies. You heard it, but you're going to have to listen carefully to know who's actually speaking, because Knol may be putting on Justin's voice and vice versa throughout this episode.
That's true. You've got to keep the listeners on their toes, yeah.
They always have to be guessing, yes. It'll be great. Wonderful.
Before we go on, of course, a huge thank you to our patronies. So thank you so much, every one of you, for keeping the lights on, for allowing these shenanigans to happen. So you can see their names listed on our show notes and on our website, itkmoonnight.com. A big thank you to Daniel, Drew, Justin, Derek, Kyle, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Anthony, and Michael. And Knol, I was just kind of looking at you while I was saying that, because I know that we, I know that we got the rhythm.
I was going to jump in. I was trying to think of new nicknames. New nicknames for people. We got Danny, Drewski. I'm done. Okay. I don't want to. Everybody on this list has very waspy kind of names. So there's nothing that much, not a lot of fun you can have with nicknames.
Well, you can do the Aussie. You can go the Danny. I don't know what the Drew is. Justy.
Well, the Canadian would be Drewski.
Drewski.
Justy.
Dazza. Kyle, Wazza, Geordie. Yeah,
I like that. I like
Australia, we love you.
Dazza is actually
Monty
a very
Python reference there.
Dazza is a very common, but actually I got that wrong. That should be more for Darren, but we don't have a Darren. But anyway, off track here. So a big thank you to all you guys, as well as our top tier patroonies who are also our sponsors, Drew Tombz. You can check out his music both on SoundCloud and Bandcamp as Tombz or LURKMUSICK respectively. Drew produces some dance music. He also does horror and sci-fi inspired soundscapes. And one of the good friends of the show, Daniel Doing, and his creation Fringe Knight, a great cosplayer and creator in his own right. Fringe Knight is an original indie comic based on Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero. And capping off the sponsors, Dreamland Comics from Illinois, the superhero superstore, where you can probably buy a back issue of actually I should hold that. Pull the pin on that, Ray. That's for another separate episode where you can buy back issues of Moon Knight. Let's just say that. So anyway, guys, welcome. The top of the week here, top of the morning to you. This is the Idle Chat, and what we are talking about, apart from some white noise, apart from some news, will be Moon Knight on Teams. I think it was really cool, Justin. You posited that topic, and I thought it had quite a few legs, so I'd be keen to get into that. Yeah. So before that, let's start off with some news. And I'm going to jump over. Look, Knol, you posted this up on Facebook. I'm going to jump to the second one. It's an article by CBR, and I don't know, for the listeners, Knol, could you perhaps recap a bit of what this article had?
Wait, the CBR one.
The card counter.
Which one was that?
Card counter and Moon Knight. And talking about William Tell.
I've already forgotten which one this one. Oh, when he was talking about Ethan Hawke was explaining the.
Oscar Isaac was talking about what he liked, the appeal of Moon Knight.
Oh, just that it was, like a different. Sorry, CBR has been really giving me too many pop-ups to even remember what the article was. But if I remember, he was just talking about how it was going to be an interesting role for him. Mm-hmm. Is that the one? There's another one I saw. There's been so many because he's doing press for this new. Yeah, and he also said putting on the Moon Knight. There was a different article I saw where he said putting on the Moon Knight costume for the first time felt like being at home or something like that. It felt really cool.
Wow.
So he's been, doing the same little. Actually, I think Ethan Hawke has been saying more than what Oscar Isaac is giving away. Maybe he signed even more NDRs than Hawke did. But I just said, it felt really cool to put on the costume for the first time. And it felt right, I think is what the quote was.
Did he cry?
Then,
most actors they cry when they see the costume. I hope not.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, Oscar Isaac's been on the tour junket for a lot of the films that he's doing. So yeah, there are like smatterings of this coming out. Justin, did you have a chance to glance at this article? I mean, there are a few. They're only very little, but
yeah, I read over a little bit of that. I think he's kind of talking about how he's attracted to characters with a redemption story.
Okay, yeah.
Did that in a couple of different. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do an amazing job. I really do. I'm so excited for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was talking a little shit about Poe Dameron, and he said it wasn't written quite deep enough for him, and he was trying to dig what he can find. But I guess sounds like Moon Knight's been a lot easier for him to sort of find an emotional core or whatever kind of other acting sort of nonsense that they talk about when they're trying to take on the role of somebody when you're just pretending to be a imaginary character. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean,
it just sounds like he's excited about it, and that's all I really care about.
Me too. And I think it bleeds off into that the other article which I'd listed here. It's about Ethan Hawke explaining the difference between Spider-Man and Moon Knight. Now, Noel, you posted this up as well, but you added a to it. So I was just interested to get your take on the article. But essentially, look, what you're saying about them like to dive into these characters, I think there's a well of stuff you can play with Moon Knight because you know he hasn't been touched before, but also as well he's got a bit of history, you know, back in 75. I think that's probably where Oscar Isaac's coming from, and I'd imagine that's a lot more fun to play with than say Poe Dameron, who I believe was like written just for the movies, right? So he's got no history beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of the headline got my little comment because it's like very kind of clickbait.
Yeah.
Or almost treating you like you're an idiot, like, oh, there's a difference between, I guess their eyes look kind of similar, but I think he was just talking about that there's so many other movies and there's history, and Spider-Man's one of the best-selling superheroes in the world, and Moon Knight's really kind of an unknown quantity, and you can just do a lot more with them. And I'm sure that made some people kind of nervous about them going off book or something, which I'm actually pretty okay if they go off book a little bit with this TV show. I don't know how you feel about Justin.
To a certain extent, yeah. I think with certain things you kind of have to keep them modern, like they've done with the Punisher's origin recently. Tweaked that a little bit, and I think that.
Yeah, well, they really had to update that for the modern age because he couldn't be from Vietnam anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So little tweaks are fine as long as it suits the story. As long as it suits if it's done just for ticking off a box, then I don't. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
So just incidentally as well, Justin, did you? So you didn't mind the Punisher? I was a bit mixed to be honest with the Punisher retelling. I mean, I like John Bernthal's performance, but
I didn't like the show at all. I'm talking about like the comics recently. I think.
Okay.
I think haven't they in the comics that tweaked his origin a little bit, like a little reboot, something.
Yes, that's right. No longer Vietnam. It was they've made up a country now, and there was a
that's right,
fictitious war. That's right.
Right. Yeah. So in that regard, I'm okay with that. I think that's totally fine. Because having a fictitious country, it works in any time frame setting.
Yes,
but if they do something just to kind of entice people to watch it that might not be interested, I don't know. I'm of two minds about that, really. But whereas Moon Knight,
what kind of thing do you think they could do?
Well,
what's a doomsday scenario for you?
Doomsday scenario is kind of, well, I don't want to say the Sun King.
Oh, yeah.
Just in case that turns out to be actually true, because but I think a doomsday scenario would be doing the origin badly.
Yeah.
Having his whole experience with Bushmen kind of glossed over, or sugar-coated or charted up a bit. It's hard to describe what I mean to say, but
yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard to imagine like a scenario. Look, I'm just thinking one off the top of my head. Say for instance, guys, a TV show comes up and they've tweaked it in the fact that I'm just gonna be totally silly here. That somehow KHONSHU possesses Mark Spector. And then he does a whizzle wazzle, and he turns into Moon Knight with that costume of the bandages and the mummy look. So they're very different, right? And so he becomes this superpowered hero, basically possessed by. How would you feel if that was
like
it?
Shazam or something?
Yeah. How would you feel?
I think actually that would be a doomsday scenario. If it was a blatant supernatural thing where, okay, we're just going to hand it to the viewers. We're not even going to make it between the lines. We're just going to serve it to them on a plate. That would definitely be a doomsday scenario.
Well, I think with this other, unless Oscar Isaac is a complete cheeseball, this other quote we have about, he said it was going to be a groundbreaking show. Hopefully, dispels any worries about that. Unless he doesn't watch a lot of TV, which is possible. But wow, a superhero show, that's groundbreaking. But I think he knows at least a little bit of what he's talking about. So I don't know. There's another article that I found. I don't know if I posted this one in the group either, but yeah, where he just said another little quote where he's like, yeah, it's going to be groundbreaking, really unusual. So,
yeah, that's a bit of a big call as well. I mean, when he said groundbreaking, I mean, that gets me excited, but at the same time, again, if you liken or make the parallels between Moon Knight and, say, like the Legion TV show, which I thought did some fantastic stuff. You know, I haven't finished the
It was pretty groundbreaking, yeah.
Yeah. So
it was groundbreaking for television, not just superhero TV.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So if Moon Knight's groundbreaking, it's, wow, you've really got to go above and beyond, I think. I mean, because if comic book fans and viewers would be privy to Legion, and that's, yeah, so that's a big call, I think. But, you know, he's doing the buzz, he's doing the marketing as well, he's doing the work for the studios. He wants to kind of get the groundswell.
I was wondering, too, if he might be referring to groundbreaking in regard to its discussion of DID.
Oh, yeah.
That isn't talked about in... I mean, there's that... Isn't there United States of Terror or something like that? But that... A lot of people have said that that's nowhere near an accurate representation.
Right. And they've already done... They've done some of that in the super... I mean, they did Typhoid Mary in the second season of... Iron Fist, which some people said was a little better, I guess, than something like that. But it was really played for like, ooh, scary drama. This person has switched personalities or whatever, and done in the right way, it can be any of those things. It could be maybe a little scary, but it could also be very sort of exhilarating. It could be so hopefully, they're smart about that. I know it's a little apropos of nothing, but you had done a tweet about the show, Ray, and Jason Burrows, ex-Moon Knight artist, had said, I'm really excited that you'll remember the directors' names, but the team that has worked on a lot of like indie horror stuff, and he said, not to call out Jason, but he said that they were the showrunners, which they're not the showrunners. No. But they are directing some of these shows, and those guys, he's somebody who knows his horror.
Yes.
He had said, like, if those guys are involved now, I'm actually really excited because they do some really trippy stuff.
Yeah. Well,
so it could be groundbreaking in that way, just in the way of storytelling, just fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's all I really want, is it to be fucking weird.
Absolutely. The weirder, the better.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where their episodes land, because I think, again, from Discord, and again, a bit of news, I'm not sure if we've covered it already, but it was confirmed, at least through Mohammed Diab, the main director, that he'll be doing 4 of the 6. So we know the other guys, Benson and Moorhead, I think that's their names, hopefully. They'll be doing the 2. I'm assuming they're doing the 2 episodes. But it'd be interesting to know what they do. Will they do the first and the last one? Will they kind of spread them out and, So, I'm excited to see their stuff. From what I've heard, they're really good, and, as well as Mohammed Diab. He and his wife apparently wrote a 200-page odd pitch to Marvel for Moon Knight, and he said in the article, he said to his wife, "Look, if we don't get it, then something is wrong," because they were so convinced
because it was that good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they
good.
They've come through, so I'm backing Diab and his wife. If it's good, I can't wait to see it.
I mean, I know it's just the Disney Plus so far. Like there has been a couple really weird moments, at least on some of the. I mean, WandaVision. Oh yeah, even was very weird. I mean, it was hokey, like a hokey on purpose kind of weird, but it was weird.
Yeah.
But not. I mean, I would like to see really weird. Like
yes,
I would like to see like I don't know, like early, like Lynchian weirdness is what I would like to see.
Oh wow, jeez. Yeah. Get David Lynch on there.
Well, it's just like there's some moments in Eraserhead or things like that where it just gets really bonkers. That would be kind of cool to see.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. I'm never eating. I'm never eating quail or small chickens again after I saw that film. So just say that.
Yes, quails, lovely.
You belong to the Merry Marvel.
Anyone hear us?
This is Trey Lawson.
And I'm James Hickson.
Anyone can hear this broadcast. We need your help.
We've been kidnapped and imprisoned in a tomb by this creepy old undertaker named Mr. Gravely.
And he's forcing us to review his collection of Marvel horror comics. Stuff like Tomb of Dracula,
Werewolf by Night,
Man-Thing,
Ghost Rider,
and so much more.
Forcing us to record these reviews as a podcast called The Tomb of Ideas.
If you can hear this, please contact our families. Call the authorities. Anyone. Tell them we can be found at...
Now, boys. Let's not give too much away. You can find James and Trey every other Wednesday at the Tomb of Ideas, a Marvel horror podcast. A proud member of the Cinepunks podcast group. See you there, Tomb Believers.
The Merry Marvel Marching Society.
So Justin, look, I'm gonna let's lead in with Moon Knight in teams, and since you're the one that proposed this really cool topic, how about we open it up with with the floor on the floor.
Well, thank you.
How would you like to propose to the listeners Moon Knight in teams?
Well, my idea was kind of twofold in that when I started reading Moon Knight's exploits, it was kind of in West Coast Avengers, because that followed directly after the Fist of Khonshu.
Yes.
So that was the linear progression. So sentimentally, I have a lot of fondness for him in a team setting, even though looking back on some of those issues today, there were some stories where he really wasn't a good fit. But like when they fought, remember that giant ape thing? I can't remember the name of it.
Oh.
But I think the wasp had to fly into its ear and blast its cerebral cortex with its sting.
Right. God.
It's like, what's Moon Knight gonna do with his Egyptian bling against this giant creature in the middle of the Grand Canyon? It was so but there are other teams where he's worked really well, like the Secret Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those were absolutely fantastic, and I thought, finally, we've got a great team setting for Moon Knight. But he wasn't in that for very long, I believe. I didn't read the whole run of that, but I think wasn't he only in about half of that, possibly?
Yeah, and it was kind of like sometimes he'd be every other issue, sort of. And then eventually just dropped off from the team totally. I was looking up some of the Secret Adventure stuff for a related thing that we'll talk about later. But, that was some of my first exposure to Moon Knight as well. It was around the same time. Fist of Khonshu came out when I was about 10-ish. And then I would see him in a lot of West Coast Adventure stuff after that, even though at the time I didn't care too much about anything called Avengers. But I would pick one up from time to time just because Moon Knight's in this one. That'd be cool. And he just did not fit that. I think that's why so many people for so long have always said, Moon Knight doesn't work in teams. Yeah. And I totally agree. It wasn't until Secret Avengers where it really sort of made sense to me. There's some of his appearances in the Defenders that were pretty cool, actually. Yeah. But he was never really a Defender, I guess.
He was always... I mean, it's funny because, as you're saying, Knol, back in the Defenders as well, there was always the talk of the other heroes going, "Who is this guy?" He always was on the outer, and I think that's the whole thing, and that kind of flavour came in through to the West Coast Avengers. I mean, as well to some extent.
Yeah.
But
with
not on
Defenders, though, aesthetically, it seemed to make a little purpose because they were supposed to be a team that wasn't a team. And they were all kind of the weirdos in the Marvel universe to begin with.
This affiliation of... It was just too bad because I would have loved to see Moon Knight next to the Beast and the Gargoyle, and you know.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I love that. I have a good friend who gives. I love the old Defenders comics, and I have a friend who's a big comic guy and does comics himself, and he was just like, I can't believe you like Defenders. This stuff is so stupid. Like, are you kidding? It's Steve Gerber. First of all, a big chunk of it is Steve Gerber.
Yeah,
and they're awesome. He knew exactly what he was doing when he was writing those comic books.
Exactly. And, you know, if a superhero like Moon Knight can escape using a can of beer, then that's pretty damn good, you know? That
was the best part of that whole story.
But it's so funny, like, you know, we're talking about around this era as well, and it just always amazes me because, you know, the modern era with, say, the 2006 Houston run, it kind of ushered in like a very different feel for Moon Knight, and a lot of fans, you know, whenever the TV show comes, it needs to be R-rated, he needs to be ultra-violent. But you look at Moon Knight back in the days with Defenders and West Coast Avengers, you know, he was a far cry from that. He was on the outer, but he wasn't like someone that was sadistic or, you know, ultra-violent.
He wasn't always ripping people's faces off.
No. Exactly.
Only a little bit of it.
Only a little.
There was this...
There was a scene. You would take a toenail off like nobody's business and carve that crescent dart right through your
paper cuts from hell.
Take that, you fucking nerds.
But there was Josh Geronimo Johnson posted up on the Facebook group as well, and he cited there was one of the Hawke magazine backup stories, and Moon Knight's threatening this guy to rip his face off, and it's like, is this a precursor?
Houston was just. Oh, I'm sure Houston was probably digging. That guy's a big fucking nerd. I'm sure he was probably digging through those things. And he's like, "There we go. I found my hook."
Yeah. So we have the Avengers element as well that we're talking about, and we mentioned the Defenders as well. How about the supernatural side of things, Justin? Moon Knight's always kind of seen to be a bit of to have some sort of fit into a supernatural world, although he's not really supernatural himself. I guess the association with Werewolf by Night kind of makes that.
Yeah. Well, the new series as well is pulling him more in that direction, at least to me anyway.
Yes.
Supernatural side, the element of the vampires and all this stuff. So that was what kind of got me thinking about this next cluster of groups. First of which, Night Shift. Actually, that was in my mind from reading that solo Avengers issue number 3, which has Moon Knight facing off against the Shroud. And the Shroud, of course, the leader of the Night Shift, posited to Moon Knight at the end of that story that he was considering Moon Knight to be his successor as the leader of the group. And I thought, that would be really interesting. Because I could see in Night Shift another redemption story. They're all basically formed criminals to a certain degree.
Yeah, they are.
Moon Knight, having his own dark past, could probably see a lot of potential to reform these people and work them into actual sane individuals or stable individuals. So I could see that being interesting for a mini-series or something, Moon Knight and the Night Shift. They could change Night Shift to have a K in it or something funny like that.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah. What's happened? Does anyone know what's happened to Night Shift at the moment? Are they still around? What's happened to this Shroud? Does anyone know?
I was reading about them. I think they appeared in a new version recently, but I don't know where. I was reading it in the Marvel Wiki. They just appeared sometime.
All right. Because I like the Shroud.
He new Axeman. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
Oh. Yeah. Because the Shroud and Mooney have they have encountered each other. Not only then was that it, Justin, when you were saying that he wanted to ask Moon Knight about becoming the leader of the Night Shift? It was around the time when Moon Knight fought Taurus from West Coast Avengers. You know, there's that cover with them half flung out. Oh, was that it?
Yeah, I love that issue too, by the way. I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was around that same time. Yeah, because I think he was on the hunt for Van Lunt, Taurus at the time.
Yes, Van Lunt. Yes, yep.
He was looking for some leads or something for his whereabouts. So I think that's how he encountered the Shroud. I have to reread that again because I already forgot that detail.
But the Shroud's such an interesting character. He is. He's blind. Okay. He's got the dark. I love, like Cloak. He's got like the Dark Force thing, and I love that whole idea. And there's this thing in the Grunwald run of Captain America where they're in the sewers or something, and Cap comes across them and stuff, and the Shroud actually blinds kind of shrouds everyone, and he talks one-on-one with Cap, saying, Cap, look, we're not bad actually. I'm essentially undercover. I'm trying to kind of reform these guys. Can you just play along and pretend that you're hypnotized as well? And I thought that was really cool because he's such a devious player, but he's got good intentions, I guess, at the end. Yeah. What about Thunderbolts then? You're talking about reform people. Moon Knight in Thunderbolts. Is there a chance? He's kind of a crim. Like he's a bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah, but as far as the rest of the Marvel universe is concerned, they're like, what, you fought a werewolf one time and that's what makes you a villain? I don't think so, Jay. I don't think anybody in charge of the Thunderbolts would be like, yeah, that guy's kicked all of our butts, and now we want to invite him into this.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, who are the Thunderbolts now, by the way? Who's the current master?
Do they exist?
Yeah, I don't know. I dropped off a while ago. There was that run, I think it was by Jerry Duggan, I might be wrong, but it was with Red Hulk, Punisher, Elektra, Ghost Rider, Deadpool, I think, as well, were in it. It was a really fun run, that one, but that was a while ago. I'm pretty sure the Thunderbolts have been since then.
It was anti-heroes.
Yeah, all the anti-heroes. And I think that culminated in, I think the Punisher was trying to take them all out for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, as he does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with the Night Shift then, look, the other one, Midnight Suns, is a big one. Look, we know Moon Knight alumni Greg Smallwood did a bit of a passion project, and he drew what he'd like to see as the Midnight Suns. That's kind of resurfaced a little bit with this new game that's come out, Midnight Suns with a U. That's totally different though. But with Moon Knight, I mean, what do you guys think about Moon Knight? Again, there's that supernatural bent to it. I think he fits in well. I mean, there was also a talk of, during the Damnation days, they were about to reform Midnight Suns. That never eventuated.
Right. Yeah, I liked the whole idea of Midnight Suns better than sort of the execution of it.
Yeah.
I like, in my head, it's like he seems to be more of sort of a fish out of water with a bunch of real weirdos,
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. It's like, it's almost like if, get ready your bleep, as if Batman was to join like the Justice League Dark instead of the regular Justice League. It's like, who's this dude?
Oh, right. Yeah.
This normie over here with all these,
that's true.
With all these like really, magic and demonic and weird ass characters. So I can see that actually. The idea of that to me is cool. I like seeing Moon Knight. Like he's touched by an ancient Egyptian god or whatever, but he's for the most part of the comics been a pretty normal, quote unquote, dude.
Yeah.
So I would like to see sort of a new Midnight Suns where they really kind of push that angle of like, well, he's fought ghosts and all kinds of crazy things, but for the most part, he's just a guy who's just crazy enough to join the rest of us weirdos to go on these adventures.
Yeah. He's like the
I could
ghost.
see him being more of a guest appearance in like a Midnight Suns, where possibly he believes one of the members is a threat when in fact they're not, or mistakes them for someone else. And of course, there's the obligatory introductory fight between two unknown heroes. I could see something like that being really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Midnight Suns as a concept is pretty cool as well. But yeah, I mean, you see kind of Moon Knight just on the side. I think that kind of works. Midnight Suns to me just screams, maybe because of the 90s, just like Ghost Rider. That's that sort of, supernatural coolness. So, yeah. So get Danny Ketch, get Johnny Blaze, get Robbie Reyes, get them all in there. It's funny.
Yeah.
Who else was on the Midnight Suns? It was Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah. Hannibal King, I think, was...
The Night Stalkers were all part of that, too. There was Hannibal King, Blade, and Frank Drake, who was the descendant of Dracula.
Ooh. Right. Nice. Frank Drake. What a name.
Yeah, Frank Drake. Yeah, and that, like Knol said, all of those titles kind of spiraled out of control towards the end. And there was I collected all of those from the beginning, and in the beginning they were great. I mean, when Spirits of Vengeance started, it had some amazing artwork by the Kubert brothers. I loved that.
Yeah, Kubert.
But they all went off the rails after, I think, the first year, and there was a horrible crossover called The Siege of Darkness that was, like, I think 20-something parts. It was ridiculous. And it was an absolute mess. As the story was going on and all these characters were dropping dead, you began to realize that the writers really had no clue how they were going to end this.
Love those kind of stories,
Very It's like, oh, okay, well, great, that's over. Let's move on. But yeah, it was Doctor Strange, it was Blade, it was Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, and there were a bunch of people from the Darkhold comic book too. But they all got killed off.
Well, that's what I was.
So Mooney kind of dipping his toes into that sounds cool, but not really. that cool.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, like, also, Doctor Strange, I was thinking, like, we're talking about the supernatural, but you can also talk about, like, the mystical side, because I think that's probably where Mooney fits better than the supernatural. So the likes of Doctor Strange, and, Justin, you're talking about the Darkhold. I was trying to think of, it would be cool, like a magical team, similar to, like, say, Justice League Dark, as you were saying, Knol. I don't know if there's a Marvel equivalent of a magic side, but I reckon Moon Knight would be pretty well suited to that. You can even include, like, Iron Fist as well, the mysticism of Kunlun, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, because Doctor Strange is he? Like, he's not, to me, I don't see him as supernatural. I see him more as just magical, like magical.
There's a lot of weird supernatural shit in his comics, though.
Yeah.
Especially in the 70s when they started getting out of sort of the mysticism.
Yeah.
And they needed him to be a little bit more of an action kind of, when they were like, okay.
Oh, when he had the mask.
Ditko really steered us down a weird path. Yeah, that was an awful time. Doctor Strange. But I mean, he's always, even like, it's of course magic, but I was even thinking about Jason Aaron's run on Doctor Strange from just a few years ago. There was some kind of ghost goop kind of tentacle, like.
I would really like that run, actually.
First arc, there was. Well, me too. That first arc where there's just like people who had just like.
Yeah.
Like creatures from other dimensions sucking their souls and living on their heads or whatever.
Yeah. And for a while, he had that Minotaur as his apprentice, remember?
Oh, yeah. He was awesome.
Yeah.
God, what's his name?
Rintra.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, that was cool. No, I like that. That kind of screamed a lot more kind of magic to me. Look, I'm going to throw in there as well. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. We're talking about, like, themes. Moon Knight, KHONSHU. How about, like, God Squad? I reckon that would be pretty cool.
The God Squad.
Yeah, they existed a little.
Thor, Hercules, Moon Knight.
Yeah, they existed in The Incredible Hercules. Amadeus Cho puts together this God Squad because the gods have gone crazy. They're causing havoc. So he basically essentially puts together he puts together a team of really heavy hitters, all associated
to take
with
down
gods,
the gods.
Yeah, to take down it was a Japanese god, Miko Bushi or something. I can't remember, but Yeah. So you
that
had
was during the Chaos War story.
Chaos War,
wasn't it?
Yes, that was it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it exactly. And so you get the likes of Amadeus Cho because he's smart. He's the founder. But you have Hurt. You can have Thor. You can have Valkyrie. You have Moon Knight in there. So
he's a fish out of water in every team.
he is. It is. Yeah.
We have these literal gods, and then we've got this little weirdo ex-CIA guy who claims that there's a moon god in his head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that is potential for fun stories, but I love it when they, I mean, pre this new latest Avengers thing though, where there was always kind of, it could easily just be any of those gods being like, who?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this guy before. I don't even know what you're talking about. Just Thor being like that. Thoroughly, KHONSHU does not exist.
Yes. Yeah, what are you on? Who is this crazy bugger? But yeah. Any other final thoughts there, Justin, on teams that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, the Night Stalkers that were in the Midnight Suns were kind of cool because they were kind of like vampire hunters or demon hunters. And you had Hannibal King in there who was an actual vampire. And then Drake had that badass gun. They had some really weird villains, too. That's kind of what made me think of the Night Stalkers. I remember there was one story which Baron von Strucker had this crazy team of weird villains, and one of them, like I remember he used his entrails as a weapon. Like all of his entrails were hanging outside of his body, and he like used his intestines to strangle somebody, and he like squirted stomach acid at somebody to blind them. I thought that is amazing.
Justin,
there was another one who was all wrapped up in bandages, and crawling underneath her bandages were all these poisonous insects, and I thought, oh God, I love it.
Jeez, sounds awesome. Far out. You got to tell me which issues these are. I want to track them down.
I will. Yeah, those were great. That was in the beginning of the series. It was fantastic.
Right, the Night Stalkers, right? So I might have to put that in the show notes for the listeners who may want to see entrails be used as weapons. Why not?
That's what got me thinking about it. I was like, Moon Knight loves these crazy, weird villains, and so that's some of Night Stalker's nemesis. And I thought about those guys and a couple of other ones they went up against. They went up against some weird vampires and stuff. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Even it was a guest appearance where he worked with the Night Stalkers to kill some vampire lord like Barney or something like that. I think that would be great.
It would be cool. It'd be cool to see him team up with Elsa Bloodstone.
Oh,
team.
Monsters.
Maybe, some some monster and ghost hunter, Ghostbusters kind of. Yeah. Marvel's Ghostbusters with some of the characters like that. That would be kind of cool. I mean, maybe Doctor Strange could kind of be a consultant or something like that. But it's just like, they could be the Charlie's Angels of Ghostbusters, sort of. Where it's Doctor Strange is like, all right, team. You guys got to go. And then, the whole time it's sort of the wide-eyed Moon Knight being like, what? Okay. I guess we're going to go fight this weird thing.
Yeah. We're somehow going to have to tweet out to Kelly Thompson because she most recently has always used Elsa Bloodstone in a lot of her stuff. Maybe we've got to tweet out to her and say, look, how about just including Mooney in there? See what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. That's a great idea.
I love Elsa Bloodstone. She's awesome. Like, she just doesn't give a shit. She doesn't take any shit
awesome
from
character.
anyone. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And her Moon Knight, those personalities would be pretty.
That would be crazy.
Personalities upon personalities would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Elsa Bloodstone.
Yeah. Elsa Bloodstone and Mr. Knight. Can you imagine both of them together? That would be just like.
Oh, yeah.
No one would beat them. No one can beat them. Yeah, look, the only other last one I had here was, I don't know if it's a real thing or not. US agents, wasn't there wasn't there a series with the US agent and all these like Squirrel Girl?
Did have a team, yeah.
Yeah, it was a government sanctioned team. Again, I'm thinking.
Oh.
Yeah, it must have been a short run, Justin.
I missed that one.
Yeah, it was only a few years ago. May not have done that well. Probably that's why. Probably don't speak of it. Also, I'm just thinking Great Lake Avengers. That would be cool. All the oddballs. Get Moon Knight in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
He is from Chicago. It's got one of the big Great Lakes on it.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. I can see him like flying in on the back of Dinosaur.
And you have Mr. Immortal there. You have, you have
Doorman.
Doorman. Yeah. And then that flat guy as well. I don't know what his name is.
Flat guy.
Flat man.
Flat man. Oh, is it Flat Man? Okay.
I think that they've. I don't know. Do they still have a Big Bertha because she's?
I think so.
Very... Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think. Well, I mean, I know. Yeah, I know.
When was the last Great Lakes Avengers?
Such a weird character. I mean, all of the rest of them are weird, but that one was.
Yes. I'm going to say 2018 or something, Knol. It wasn't that long ago. It was
oh, yeah.
Will Robson, I know, was the artist. Great art. I love the art. I can't remember who wrote it. But, yeah, Bertha was definitely in it, Justin, I'm sure. Because she was on the cover.
Wow.
And, yeah, I think they had Doorman and Flat Man and Mr. Immortal and all that.
Mr.
Funny.
Immortal. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm reaching there for Mooney to be connected, only because he's such an oddball as well.
Yeah.
And Great Lakes.
Great Lakes as well. Exactly. It's geographically, it makes sense to have Moon Knight in it.
Listen, guys, just because I'm from Chicago doesn't mean I need to be on your bullshit team.
Exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't be.
Get me out of here, you freaks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be caught dead seen with you guys later.
You're a flat man. All right.
Get me out of here, Frenchie. And off he goes. Yeah. Plays in the rope ladder. Yeah. Well, rightio. Well, why don't we rightio. We'll wrap this thing up. Well, let's take a quick short break, guys, because there's a bit of feedback. Wouldn't mind just going through as well, just on past episodes.
Sure.
Yeah. And
great.
And Loony listeners, we'll be right back with just to wrap up this show and just some of your feedback. Catch you soon. Alrighty, here we go. Have you guys got the prompt sheets ready? Or
yeah,
yep,
sure.
Cool. Do you want to? Shall we just? Yeah, we'll just alternate.
I want to do the first one.
Okay, Justin, I'll give you the big.
Never mind.
Okay, you can have the second one.
CMK.
Okay.
Chris.
Yeah, do you want to do the CMK? Yeah, cool.
Sure, yeah.
All right. Cool. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is an idle chat segment, episode 235, and here with Looney Tunes and the Owl, and just wrapping up with some nightlines now, some feedback. So you just heard a little bit of a discussion. Look, there's plenty on offer there for Moon Knight in teams. Would actually love to hear what you have to say, Loony listeners. Just drop a line. Who do you think, which team do you think Moon Knight would be best fit in? Or would that be right, Justin? Or which team? What would be
the best fit?
Yeah.
Best fit for Moon Knight.
What is your dream team?
What is your dream team? And why? That would be cool. But we do have some listener feedback here from some past episodes. So kicking off on our Facebook group, this was for one of our very recent episodes. It was on Moon Knight and music. It was about what would you associate? What music would you listen to when you read your Moon Knight comics? And funnily enough, Knol and Justin on the show, I mean, you did leave some feedback, so you both left some thoughts there. Knol, all of Deleta, understandably so. Understandably.
Yeah. Who needs other music?
And Justin, you mentioned Gary Newman, right? And there was another gentleman, couldn't remember off the top of my head, but they sounded cool.
Richard H. Kirk is from Cabaret Voltaire.
Oh, yeah. Cabaret Voltaire, the band would be great.
Absolutely. Some of their early stuff is great for Moon Knight.
What kind of music is that? I haven't had a chance to dig that up and see. Is that like electronic or?
Yeah, Cabaret Voltaire is kind of one of the first electronic groups. They started out with tapes and like weird loops and stuff, but
I don't know much called them post-punk.
Post-punk, kind of early industrial kind of.
Yeah.
And then they kind of went like more electronic with dance stuff in the 80s. They kind of got into the techno scene and so Richard H. Kirk just created all of these aliases and created hundreds of records. And I love the Sandoz project because it has all these samples from like African tribes and Jamaican rhythms and all this stuff, all these different elements from different cultures, and I love all that stuff. So for Mark Spector Moon Knight, that's a good soundtrack for me. But I love all the Gary Newman stuff for the first run in the 80s. All that.
Oh wow,
so perfect. Yeah.
I'm going to have to try that out. I'm going to. That sounds really cool. The Cabaret Voltaire sounds cool. I wanted to give that a go for maybe some of the modern runs, see how that fits. Just from what the description of your side, like just with electronic post-punk.
Suggestions for it. Yeah, definitely.
Roland S. Howard for Volume 1 would be, speaking of Australian people.
Whoa, yeah, awesome.
Would be
awesome.
Would be pretty for Volume 1. That would actually, because the Cabaret Voltaire made me think of that. Not quite as industrial, but more in the just sad, dark,
nice
sort of
cool
stuff. His post-birthday stuff would be pretty cool.
I love awesome reference there. Jeez, Knol, just that came out of nowhere, but that's awesome. Yes, Roland S. Howard, fantastic muso. Your birthday party, actually. Get the birthday party on some of the early stuff.
Very cool.
I love it.
I love that you mentioned the Next too, Ray. I
yes.
was just introduced to the Next recently. There's a band that I love called Underworld, and they did a huge box set where they basically released new music every week for an entire year, and then collected it all at the end of the year. And one of the collaborations they did throughout the year was with the Next, and they did basically. It's a whole album's worth. There's only 3 tracks, but they're all like 20-something minutes long, and it's all just this free-form jam between Underworld and the Next, and it's fantastic.
Oh, I'd love that sort of stuff. You can just get lost in the whole lot of music there. And sometimes I think it's not doing it justice to just have in the background while you're reading. But yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, but it is cool. So Looney's definitely check that out. One of the Loonies, he's Slane Brown, has said for that issue alone, and he is referring to issue 26 because I posted up a splash page from Hit It, the Moon Knight, so Moon Knight Volume 1, 26. Slane Brown says for that issue alone, it would have to be Bernard Purdie. Are you guys, either of you guys familiar with Bernard Purdie?
No,
jazzy kind of. I think it gives that kind of vibe.
Isn't it jazz?
Yeah.
Some sort of jazz would be obviously for something kind of violently jazz. I would almost like to hear, The Shape of Jazz to Come, something like that feels a little bit more. No, even something more violent than that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I only know the name and that it's jazz, but
yeah. Well, Slane left
check it out.
Yeah. Slane dropped a link in there for a YouTube for a track, so I might check that as well. Sorry, Slane, I hadn't checked it out as yet, but no, very good indeed. Knol, we got something from Twitter.
Oh yeah, this was response to the episode 233. Andrew Shaw said, "Love this issue. The interaction between Mark and Dr. Deptford. Mark speaking as KHONSHU, getting info from the profile, who is seriously underrated character. Really interesting tie into the initiative." I agree. it was cool. Did you cover that? Has that been covered on this show like 4 times now?
Yeah, it's been quite a lot. But look, it's by popular demand. So Petroni Drew, he was unfortunately he couldn't make it. He had to cancel last minute, but he wanted to jump on the show and talk about it. Yeah, I mean it's a fantastic issue. A lot of people really do enjoy it. We got some really good insight from the Loonies with feedback from there, so that you can hear that in 233. Andrew Shaw, a fellow Aussie, he's been on the show for the first time not that long ago. Really cool bloke, big Moon Knight fan. So good to hear. Yeah, good to hear from you, Andrew. Big horror fan as well, but yeah, I totally agree as well. It's a great time to the initiative. It's great use of the profile, kind of scary use of the profile, and an interesting introduction to such a twisted character in Dr. Deptford, which kind of all adds up into one nice little issue. So yeah. Justin, we have a regular listener here, but from the YouTubes.
Yes, Chris CMK7, in response to episode 232, writes, "Great concept for an episode. I thought I was the only one that matched soundtracks to comics. No, you're definitely not. I've done that for longer than I can remember, actually.
Yes.
Great picks, too. I'm definitely on board with these selections, and I'll be checking out the ones I'm not familiar with. I agree that songs, sounds of a particular time period often are very fitting. I know some might laugh or think I'm crazy, but Gino Vanelli Hurts to Be in Love song really encapsulates the Mensch Sienkiewicz Volume 1 Moon Knight for me. That song really captures the romantic and sexy vibes I get from that run. Like if Moon Knight was a TV show in the 80s, I imagine that song playing in the opening credits. I love that. That's great.
Cool. I'm going to have to check it out. I thought I knew the song, but when you just read it out again, Justin, Hurts to Be in Love, it sounds vaguely familiar, but is it a popular song? Would I have heard it? You reckon?
I think I've heard it, but I don't remember it. I've got to go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
I think that it sounds vaguely familiar, but
yeah,
I've heard it. It's been years, decades.
I'm going to make a concerted effort then, Chris. Thank you so much. People, poop. I'm going to try to read Moon Knight 1 again, and I'm going to put that on and see how we go. But Knol's having a bit of a listen. Here we go. It's okay. Oh, this does sound sexy, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
It does sound
sexy. I can see the dry ice. Yeah.
That's about all we can play without getting
exactly. Yeah.
The dry ice.
Well, you're right. You're right, because you know what? If you played any more YouTube, they are pretty strict with it, and I'd hate for Chris not to listen to this episode because we're responding to you, Chris. But hopefully, we won't get cut off there. Hopefully,
9
YouTube.
seconds, I believe, is what we're allowed.
Okay.
Fair use, baby.
Yes.
Critique and criticism. I would not like to hear that in a Moon Knight, but it would maybe fit for a Moon Knight show in the 80s, I guess. I was thinking, I think it's like saxophony, but it may as well be.
Yeah. Definitely dried ice. Definitely some perms going on.
Somebody saying Marlene with a perm on top of a hot car
with shoulder pads.
Big shoulder pads.
Oh, big
shoulder
pads.
A little bit of an attitude, but she listens to her man or some bullshit. Yeah. I can see that.
That's it. Oh, no, thank you so much, Chris. Very, very cool. Gino Vanelli, Hurts to Be in Love. Loonies, track it down. Have a listen to the rest of the...
I'm going to listen to the rest of that. Yeah. I need to go bounding down memory lane here.
Justin's just like, fuck it, I'm going to listen to that.
That's right.
And finally...
I am going to pound my head into the desk until I forget that melody.
Knol, Instagram, we got one more here from a regular listener.
Oh, yeah, from Make Mine Moon Knight in response to Moon Knight and Music episode, which was the last couple episodes ago. For the first series, I usually think of metal and rock and roll like Ozzy, Metallica, Iron Maiden, The Who, Queen, Rolling Stones, mostly 80s stuff, I guess. Pretty much the same playlist for all the different series. Sometimes other songs and artists and genres get mixed in. Well, I wonder what other artists. I mean, if you got Ozzy, Metallica, Iron Maiden,
what else do you need?
Queen, that runs the.
Yeah.
That runs. I could not pick The Who to Moon Knight, but
Pinball Wizard.
Maybe won't get pulled again.
Tommy, can you hear me? No, that doesn't work either. Marianne with a shaky hand. No, that doesn't work either. There could be one though. Maybe Substitute. I'm a substitute for another guy.
Oh, Substitute. Yeah. I know that song. Yeah. What? I mean, fantastic.
Maybe My Generation.
My Generation. Yeah. Make Mine
Crazy Train from Ozzy obviously would work.
Yes.
Running down the rails on a crazy train.
Yeah.
That would be. Yep, exactly. That was pitch perfect.
So I mean, this works for all the series as well. So Make Mine Moon Knight, you've got your set list sorted for whenever you read something. So that's great to hear. The Queen, Rolling Stones, man, these are big guns. So great. I'd like to hear again, Make Mine Moon Knight. If you throw us a couple of songs from those groups that you know, because we're wondering what of the Who would be apt. So yeah. If you listen to this, let us know which Who song, and I'd be keen to know which Rolling Stone song actually. Although that might be easier.
I'd like to know what Iron Maiden song. I think there could be a lot, but
just give us them all.
Maybe almost too many. Maybe I'm surprised Def Leppard should be in there.
Megadeth.
Megadeth. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
On a separate note, there's got to be one person out there who has ABBA as their soundtrack for reading. I just thought of that because they just announced their tour. So I thought about that. There's got to be someone out there that reads ABBA, listens to ABBA while they read Moon Knight.
Loony listeners, if you are that person, let us know, and let us know what song as well. I mean, that would be really cool. I mean, it sounds obviously that there's a lot of people, a lot of loonies do use soundtracks when they listen to comics. I certainly do as well, and I know Knol and Justin, of course. I mean, you guys do. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know what other songs out there. But no, thank you so much, everyone, for dropping in some feedback. Very cool. And again, it's never too late. If you want to let us know what you like to listen to, that'd be pretty cool too. Again, I can't laud enough the Other Void EP, essential listening from Deleter for any Moon Knight comics, as well as much of Deleter's other songs, Knol, as well, dare I say. That, I mean, it doesn't have to be directly linked to Moon Knight, but just the vibe.
Yeah. There was something, I forget, what were you saying, something almost like a James Bondy, I forget which, were you saying that for Fist of Khonshu, or which one?
Yes, James Bondy, because it's kind of cinematic, like the issues that I've reread, it's kind of, the really seems to be typical, like 70s, 80s kind of movie. Yeah.
When we started Deleter, that was one of our things people called us, was like espionage punk.
Oh, nice.
Because of kind of that James Bondy reverby, vibrato-y guitar,
yes.
So some of the earlier Deleter stuff kind of has that. So there you go, Deleter for it all.
Yes, Deleter for all, and
espionage punk. That's great.
That's awesome. Well, that's the feedback. Thank you so much, Loonies. Once again. Spectre Call, I'm just going to throw it to Justin. Anything that you'd like to give a shout out? We know that you're a co-host of Tombz of Evil. Is there anything that you can divulge?
Well, we will be having, I think, 4 or 5 episodes this month, and we're going to be doing some recording soon. So very shortly, we'll have some new stuff coming out. And I don't want to spoil who it is yet, but we're going to be doing 2 DC villains.
Nice.
Going to be going after their first appearances. The Distinguished Competition.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Image.
Image. Valiant, yes. Justin, you'll have
Mirage Studios.
Oh, Mirage. God. Defiant. I don't know if you remember those ones. Malibu as well. Justin, you'll have to promise me to punk Russell, just because of that story that you told that Russell punked you with the turning of the wheel.
With the wheel, yes.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So, not totally a secret since I'm asking you on air, but if you can prank Russell, that would be cool.
I'll see what
Knol as well. Always a pleasure to swap banter with you, and especially so with Justin as well.
Double.
I know.
That's right. And I would like to also encourage everyone to check out Tombz of Evil.
Yes.
Because it's fantastic, and I would like to be a guest someday talking about, I plugged this before, and I'm going to plug it again. I want to do Kegel Face from the Sex Criminals comic as a villain on that show, because she's...
Yes, I would love that, because I want to read that.
You haven't read yet, Sex Criminals?
I haven't read it. That would give me an excuse to read it.
Yeah, it's just wrapped, I believe. So everything should be available in trade pretty soon, or you can find them online. But it's a great comic, and she is a great villain? ? So one day I'll come on and we'll do that. I know Russell was like, I'd never read it, but I'm keen to read anything, and if somebody is causing time to stop by having sex, I'm all there for it. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Please make it happen, Justin. Please make it happen. Get in the ear of Russell.
Yeah, we'll put that on the schedule.
Yeah, awesome. As well, Knol, you just reminded me. I mean, there's a really cool podcast that you got me onto as well, villain based.
Oh yes.
I'll give that a shout out. Why not?
No, you just did it.
No.
Right. You just did it, Justin, and you didn't even realize.
Oh, no, did I?
Yeah.
That's infectious, I tell you.
Yes. I just discovered through a friend the other day, there's this great podcast, and you need to get a hold of them and get them into the collective, but called The Voice of Latveria, which is all strictly about Dr. Doom.
How cool is that?
I think it's be worth checking out. And it's done. The concept is sort of the entire podcast isn't this way, but like the sort of intro and outro is done as propaganda from Doomsbots about what's happening in the rest of the Marvel universe. So it's like, this is the voice of Latveria. This weekend in New York City, the dreaded Fantastic Four went up against whatever. Yeah, but it's really funny. And the host, I can't recall his name right now, but he just wrote a book and he read every single Marvel comic book.
Wow! Holy crap!
Wow!
Jeez!
And so he's got a book coming out about that, and a whole podcast just about Dr. Doom. So it's pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool. I've only just started listening to episode 1, and I don't know if it really is genuine or not, but most of his guests, he puts the prefix doctor in front of them. So I don't know whether they're all real doctors or not, but it's like special guest, Dr. Andrea, blah, blah, blah. And you see the other episodes.
Yeah,
Doctor.
He had a former U.S. diplomat on to read one comic where T'Challa and Dr. Doom had to kind of go at each other through it. And so I don't think she wasn't a comic book fan, but she was a literal former diplomat. She was like, this is a terrible story. But she said, to be fair, like a real diplomatic meeting would be an even more boring story than this was. So, but then he has, comic book people on and all kinds. It's a great show. People should check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It will be in the show notes. Go check it. They're about 30 episodes in, so but all kind of quality stuff. I've just started listening, so yeah, looking forward to that. A big thank you once again. Sorry, Knol. Oh, sure. No,
never mind.
No.
Yeah. I was just gonna. It's worth it just to hear the the voice of Latveria itself on the podcast. That's all I was gonna say.
I love the beginning. Yeah, as you said, the whole propaganda thing. I love the kind of the role play it's playing there. It's really good. A big thank you, guys. We'll have both of you back on, I'm sure, in a bonus episode. So, patroonies, and if you do consider becoming a Patreon member, you'll be able to hear Knol and Justin again. We're going to be reviewing something a bit later on, but you're going to have to check that out. It will be a bonus episode, but good to have both of you guys in for this idle chat. Next phase, so later on in this week, look, Knol, I'm not going to entertain the thing of, will you join us later in the week? Because I know...
I won't be part of your bullshit, right?
well, then I shall turn to Justin the Owl. Justin, would you be so kind as to join me later in the week for a comic book review?
Yes, I think I can be coerced into doing that.
Excellent. And we may sound as if we are ignorant of what we've just said now because, truth be told, listeners, Justin and I have recorded it ages ago. But anyway, it is episode 236 next towards the end of the week. It's a Waxing Gibbous, and it's an Other Side of the Moon. So Justin and I will be covering Marvel Fanfare Volume 1, Issue 38. Whatever Happened to Podunk Slam? A really, really funny tale. And incidentally as well, I'm going to say, because bonus episodes out of the wazoo, Justin and I, we actually do cover the rest of that comic. There's a backup story, and that will be a bonus episode too. So, Patroonies, you will be blessed with a couple of bonus episodes coming your way. Hopefully, I'm going to get them out once a month. But yeah, that will cover the rest of Marvel Fanfare 38. But Justin, you and I, towards the end of this week, it should be fun to chat about Whatever Happened to Podunk Slam.
That was a great story, and it was so much fun chatting about.
Yes, it was really cool. Yeah, so a huge thank you once again, guys. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
And Knol and Justin, I'll see you in December for the bonus episode, Knol, i.e. 5 minutes.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Patroonies.
Thank you, Patroonies. Catch you later. Please consider checking out our Into the Night Patreon page on patreon.com/ITKMoonKnight. There are plenty of incentives there, like uncut material, bonus episodes, and more, and any contribution will help expand the show. We're sponsored by Fringe Night by Daniel Doing, and you can support his Patreon page at patreon.com/FringeNight27. Also, Tombz by Drew Tombz can be supported via his SoundCloud website on soundcloud.com/Tombz with a Z. Drew Tombz also produces horror and sci-fi based music on LURKMUSIC. That's LURKMUSIC with a CK. And you can support his music on Bandcamp at lurkmusic.bandcamp.com. We're also sponsored by Dreamland Comics, the superhero superstore. Use the code MOON to get a promo of 20% off any online back issues. Finally, we're part of The Collective, which is an informal network of like-minded podcasters. It's a repository of ideas, and we also like crossing over and supporting each other. Please check out all of these shows in our show notes under The Collective. Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Material used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.